Welcome to the Adoption Journey podcast. I am your host, Tarsha Smith, and we are back with Jazzy for part 2. Okay, listen, family. You are going to have to go back and listen to her first adoption story because she has not one, but 2. And one thing I always say is put your seatbelts on. You are not ready for her first adoption story. But now, here we are with adoption story number 2. So she adopted her first son, and that's the episode you need to go check out if you didn't already. And now you're ready for 2? Am I? Yes.
You're ready. You're ready. So, okay.
But hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Because you have 2 of your own.
Yes, I was gonna.
Okay. All right.
Because we gotta get there, right?
We gotta get there. Okay.
So my son is here. You know, we're thriving, we're living, we're doing life, right? His dad and I split. You know, we go our separate ways. We're co-parenting. Everything's good. I then have 2 more kids biologically. I have 2 sons.
Okay.
And they are like 13, 14 months apart. So there's like a 6-7 year age gap between my first son and my second and third son.
Okay.
And so of course life took a turn for me, right?
Absolutely.
So I am now a single mom of 3 boys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm a business owner. I am just doing what I do, which is take care of my kids, provide for them, and navigate life. But life is navigating me at the same time. So after my youngest son was born, I'm going through the woes of life, right? And then I meet my husband. I'm just going to fast forward straight to I meet my husband, okay? And that's a whole story by itself. But I meet my husband, and I got 3 boys. They are ages 8, 1, and 2. And my husband, God bless him, you know, it happened really... it was ordained. It definitely was ordained, but it still happened. As most significant things in my life, I noticed a trend. They happen very fast. And probably fast so that it doesn't give me time to think about it. Because if I think about it,
she has all the questions.
I do.
Is she?
Yes. So when God gets in there and does his little thing, it happens fast, right? So, meet my husband, you know, we meet, you know, a year later, we move in together. A year later, we get married. A year later, we built a home. And, you know, it's me, him, and the 3 boys. Mm-hmm. And now we're a blended family at this point.
Which is a whole nother podcast.
Right? So during that time of dating, when I first met my husband, I was like, I'm good on kids, you know, because I've had a taste of this single mama life, and I'm like, I'm good on it. Like that, I'm good on it. I've done it, you know, never thought I would be doing it, but here I am. And I was okay with not having any more children. Okay. You know, 3 is a lot. 3 is enough for everything, right?
And boys.
Yes.
I know. I'm a boy mom.
Okay. So you understand. But my husband, you know, he has a daughter, but she's much older than my kids were.
Oh, okay.
So she's an adult when we meet.
Oh, like
she's an adult when we meet. But my husband, I remember our first date, you know, I was trying to have me a hot girl summer when I went on a date with my husband. I wasn't, and I say that to mean like I wasn't trying to be serious.
You weren't trying to be serious. No, I understand.
I was just like, you know what? I had just had, you know, 2 babies. I just wanted to just have fun, just live in a moment. And I had no expectations of him, which was another thing that wasn't me. That was a God thing because I have all the expectations, okay?
You have the checklist.
I got it, okay? So I just had no expectations when we went on our first date. I just like, listen, I don't know if he's gonna have fun, but I'm gonna have fun. I was gonna have fun with it. And if I had to like curve him and dip on him if he went to acting crazy, I was prepared. Okay, I was prepared. But that didn't happen. And so I say our first date was our forever date because from the moment we had a first date, we've been together ever since. And that's just how it happened. But I remember on the first date, he was asking me, so, I think he asked me something like, what's something that, you haven't done in life that you wish you would have done? And I don't even remember the answer I gave him because, again, I was not trying to be serious, okay?
You can see her whole body language right now. She's like, boy, bye.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, but what's happening over here? Like, not with it at all. And I gave some answer, and then I said, what about you? And he said, oh, I would have had more kids. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Right? No. I'm like,
because he only had the one.
Yes, and she was an adult, right? And this was a first date, so I knew none of the backstory. I just knew he had a daughter. So yeah, I skated around that comment.
I know you did.
And then but my husband just, he was like, do you want more kids? And I said, well, no.
Because go over the ages again at this time.
They were 8, 1 and 2.
That's a hard no.
Yes.
It's a hard no.
No, I don't want any more kids. Like, I'm good where I'm at. I said, but if I ever get to a place, in life before I'm 40, okay, because I was pushing 40, okay.
Okay.
I said it, and I was married and my husband wanted, I would consider it. I said, but once I hit 40, there's no consideration. Like, it's just not happening. I don't want it. If I can help it, I don't want it. Okay?
Okay, girl.
Right. So, over the course of us, like, after we married, the conversation came up, like, and it was always him. It was never me. Okay, bringing it up. He'd bring it up. Oh, you think? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I would.
And it's after you're married.
Yes.
He was like, you remember what I had said on that first date?
He did not forget. And I'm like, what? No, kid, why do you want to do that? We have the perfect situation right now. The perfect situation.
Complete the 5.
Are you sure you want to like mess that up? And he was like, you right. So it was a back and forth thing, with us. Like, he'd bring it up. And then there was even one time where I was like, oh, maybe that'll be Like, it was a real quick for me. Like, it would cross my mind, but then I'm like, If I had 2 C-sections, like, I just was not, no, okay? So, anywho, it finally got to a point where the conversations just never came up. Like, they dead. Because once I hit 40, when I turned 40, I was quick to shut the conversation down. Like, I'm not doing.
And now, how old are the kids?
The kids are now 14.
No, not now. When at the point when you hit 40.
Oh, well, I'm 41 now.
So this
was I'll be 42 in March, y'all. So
should have got that Moscato.
Yeah. So
she told me not to. Yeah, she said I wasn't gonna need it. She doesn't need it.
So yeah, so now my kids are 14, about to be 6 and about to be 7.
Like, real self-sufficient.
Yeah. Like, we're not starting over. I'm thinking about formula and diapers.
You gotta pack up the whole house just to go up the street.
No.
I don't want to do that.
We're not doing that, okay? So, as we're having the conversations off and on, I'm like, listen, I'd adopt again. I would do that. I said, but a pregnancy is out of the question for me. Like, I just don't want to do it. God.
You don't get enough of putting stuff in the atmosphere.
I just don't want to do it. So at some point, the conversation just really stopped, like between us, because we were doing life. We moved into the house, we built the house.
Perfect for 5.
Perfect for 5 with room.
We did the same thing.
Yes. Like, we had it all planned out, right? It's gonna be my office. Okay, office. And so, we're doing life. We've moved into the house. We're enjoying this space that we've worked hard together to create for our 3 kids. Right. Okay. So, let me rewind. So when my husband and I met, again, my husband says he knew early that it was me for him. Okay. I didn't.
She was having a hot girl summer, so.
Right. So in the beginnings of us dating, my husband, he's all about family.
Okay.
And he loves his family. I mean, if the family say they doing something, he dropping whatever.
But as a unit,
we getting there, right?
Yeah.
Now at this time, there was a family function going on where we do it all the time now, but me just coming in, not realizing that this is a normal occurrence for his family. They all get together, like, oh, we getting together for the holiday, okay. Well, me and him are just really getting to, going in our relationship, and we haven't really I still haven't quite like jumped all the way in. And he's like, oh, I want you to come meet the family. And I'm like, why? And he's like, oh, come on, it'll be fun, And
for who?
Right. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do. It was just a lot. At the time, like the whole family, like the aunties, the uncles.
That's a lot. It's a lot.
Just for this little old holiday, like,
What holiday was it?
I don't even remember what holiday. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it might not have even been like a holiday. I think it was just because, So I was reluctant for my own reasons, but my husband's a salesman, so he convinced me to, go. Plus, he's fun. My husband is so much fun to be around, right? So I'm like, okay, let's go. So I went. I met the family. So I walk in, boom, family. This the fam bam. Like everybody's there, right? So I'm meeting everyone, and so my husband has an aunt who fosters in Tallahassee.
Okay.
And so she was there. And normally it's a normal thing for her to bring the kids that she's fostering with her to these families whenever we have them, right?
Okay.
So, his family, they're used to, her having a kid with them and whatnot. So we get to the house where everybody's at, and she has this little girl with her, right? And cutest little thing. Just, she's a baby. She's about 13, maybe 14 months. So she's a baby. Mind you, I have a 13, 14 month at home, right? So we're in there, everybody's hanging out. And I remember one of his aunts said, oh, y'all need to get y'all baby. And I'm like,
are you even married yet?
No. Exactly. So I'm like, who, babe? Who? And then it became like she just kept saying it, like while we were there. And I remember leaving, and I said, why your auntie kept saying that? Why would she say that? He was like, man, my auntie, this just how she is. It's all good, like just fun. She just having fun, And I'm like, okay, because I got the 13 month at home,
right?
And I'm good. Like I am, because I'm somewhat traumatized, because I didn't expect to be single mom and these young babies at the time that my husband and I met. And so that kind of happened, and then life went on, and eventually, we moved in together. Mm-hmm. Now the relationship has progressed. We've moved in, we've gotten married, we built a home. We're now living in our home.
Yes.
So, over the course of that time, like 2-3 years, I think, this little girl was still with his aunt. So whenever we would do, like, especially during COVID, when they were we would do Zoom calls, like family Zoom calls and whatnot. You'd see her, or, Auntie would just say, oh, yeah, she here, oh. So she really became a part of the family because she was 13 months when she, went to my aunt. And now here we are 4 years later. So she's 5 now. And so she's been in our family for this long. So she's family, right?
Right.
And I guess the question started coming up of, okay, well, she's available to be adopted. And it kind of got thrown out there a few times to us. And we was just like, oh, okay, well, that's nice. Kept it moving. Yeah. And at some point, and I can't even remember, but at some point I remember, I think my mother-in-law, shout out to my mother. She is another. She went to visit her sister in Tallahassee, and I guess she must have called my husband and was like, oh my gosh, look at her. Doesn't she look just like Jazz? And so, and I'm not gonna lie, she does look like me, okay? Because normally I'll be like, no, she doesn't, but she does. And so my husband, I guess he's at work. He's like, oh my God, yeah, she does look like that. So I think they end up calling me on to
tell you that you look like that.
Well, we were on a video call. And they was like, look at that. And then she gets on the phone and she's like, you look like me. Like she starts saying, you look like me. And I'm like, like I can't deny it, like we do. And so right after that, here come my husband. Hey, I'm like, what are you talking about? What you mean? Now at the time, I don't think she was quite 5 yet. She might have still been 4, about to turn 5 or something like that. I think we should do it. And I'm like, so we did what we always do. We called my mother-in-law. And he's talking to his mom about it. And she was like, well, she gives us all her good advice like she always does. And then something came up where the family was getting together again for the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And this would have been the first time we were all really getting together since COVID. So she was going to bring her down. We had just moved into the house. We were like, well, why don't you just stay here so that we can kind of be around her? Because again, the last time we saw her was she was like 13, 14 months. So that's what happened. They came down. We got a chance to hang out with her. She was hanging out with our boys, so we just got a little bit of a feel for what the dynamic would be like. Okay, fine. So again, I'm reluctant, but I'm like, okay, let's just start this process. Because again, now we're going through the States. And I'm like, okay, God, here you go again. I didn't want to do nothing through the state. And really, now I got to go through the state. So I'm like, so I'm already knowing, right, what this process could look like, right? So I'm like, okay. So we reached out to the, because it's 2 different counties. So we had to reach out to our county, to our local county, to do the classes, because you have to get licensed as a foster. Home.
Something else you didn't want to do.
But here we are. So we do that. We do the classes. I feel like the classes, because we were coming out of COVID, so they were still doing like virtual. So it wasn't where we had to go to the class. So I think it was like 2 weekends and a whole bunch of homework stuff, that like papers and questions and lessons and things that we had to do.
Because one of my previous guests, I think she said it was like 13 weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
But they condensed it, and that probably was a change that happened during COVID. And I don't know if they're back to the regular, what they were doing pre-COVID. I don't know if it's back there yet. But when we signed in to do it, it was still the virtual situation.
Okay.
So we did that, got that done. In the meantime, we're kind of keeping more in contact with, Auntie, like talking to her,
your little twin.
Correct. And then so after we did that, they were like, okay, now homestay. Well, I'm not unfamiliar with the homestay because but it was different this time. So they sent us this 89.
Hold on, I got a question.
Yes.
So when you go through the state with the home study, now you don't have to pay for it?
Mm-mm. No. So 89 page packet that we had to fill out about us. I mean, they asked you any and everything you could think of.
Whereas before, you had to do something similar, but
it was not
89 pages.
It was not 89 pages.
I'm telling y'all, if y'all missed her story.
So I'm like, but I'm already prepared because I already know what it is to go. So I'm not.
Now, what about your husband?
He was like, what? We gotta do what? I was like, yeah, we gotta do this. They want to know everything. Yeah. At this point, I'm like, you want to do this? This is what we have to do. So we did the paperwork. And let me just say this: we didn't have that much paperwork with my son. And I wasn't very happy about having that much paperwork to turn in for my daughter.
Right.
However, I will say that some of those questions in that packet, it led me and my husband into conversations that we had never had. Like, and I think it even opened us up even more like with our parents, because I remember him saying, they asked you a question like, what do you do? How do you resolve conflict? Like, what do you do between me and he and I? And
I was thinking about me and my husband.
Yeah. The questions get deep. Yeah. Like you have to think about and answer questions that you probably wouldn't even think. You wouldn't have to answer with your own if you were pregnant and having your own, right? So the questions were like, 89 pages, but it actually was very therapeutic for us as a couple.
Okay.
So, I'm not mad at the 89 pages, right? So we did the paperwork, we turned it in. They told us, okay, once you get it turned in, we'll set a date for someone to come out and do the physical homestay where they have to come out to the home. So once again,
does that process look different? Like when they come to the home, does it look different with the private versus the state?
So I feel like the private was more thorough in the in-person because they asked us a lot of the questions versus the state, we had already answered the questions in the packet. So she was just, when she came, she was just kind of reiterating what we had already given her. Okay. Right. But again, with the state, we started this process in July with the classes. July of last year. Okay. So now we are in October before someone shows up to the house to do the home study. Okay. So we get the home study done. And when I say do the home study, I mean she just did the home visit, meaning they have to come out, look at our house, make sure that we have the space that we need, make sure that we can do this. Like, what type of environment is this child going to be coming into? Okay.
In my mind, she was like, girl, this is nice.
Right. Because it was brand new. Like, to me, I felt like this was an easy situation because number one, I know how this works. So I'm already going above and beyond to I'm giving them, I know they're going to need this. I know I got it all packaged up real nicely. I just couldn't understand, like, why is this taking forever? Like, this should be an easy open shut. But right. But again, why I didn't want to,
I know.
But here we are now. And so she comes out to the house in October to, take pictures of everything. But the home study still didn't get completed until January of the next year. So from October to probably about January 2nd or 3rd, nothing was happening.
And with the private, how quick did it happen?
Again, we started the private, like 3 to 4 months, we had the baby.
Like done.
Yeah.
Everything done.
Yeah.
Okay, state.
So, and then that was also me making a lot of phone calls, sending a lot of emails, like, hey, what's going on? So we got it done in January. And then they're like, oh, well, we have to go to this special review type of thing simply because if you have any background, anything, you got to go to a review, right? So they run your background.
Yeah.
So because there was some background for my husband from over 20 years ago, we had to go in front of a committee and explain what happened over 20 years ago. Okay. So we did that. But they had told us from the beginning, like, listen, it's not that serious. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
But it's protocol. Like, we have to do it. So we did it. And then they said, oh, well, what did they tell us? They told us that we had to, it was something. I'm so sorry. I just drew a blank. We did, in order to change the placement, because she was in Tallahassee and we were in Auburndale, Lakeland, whatever. Okay. So they said that she has to have so many visits with us before they couldn't just approve us and then send her here. It had to be a transition.
Okay.
So I did 2 round trips to Tallahassee. Yeah, to pick her up, bring her down for a few days, and I had to take her back. Then she stayed, with Auntie for a few days. Then we went, picked her up, and had to bring her back.
For people that don't live here, that's a 4 hour, one way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I did it twice. And then the third time when she finally was placed with us, I'm like, listen, y'all gonna have to meet me. Because I'm not doing it again. Like, it was just entirely, it was too much. And then she was placed with us in April of this year. We started the process in July.
So how are you feeling?
In April or now?
Both.
Okay, so in April, I don't really know what I was feeling in April. I just knew that I wanted to make her transition easy. I wasn't so much worried about my transition. Okay. I was just like, I just want to see how this dynamic is going to go in the household because we've only had 3 boys. And then for me, I just think I was kind of numbing myself to whatever I would feel. Well, because number one, I'm a boy mom. Okay. I also have a girl. And not only am I a boy mom, naturally I do have a lot of masculine energy. Okay. And so it's, I was raised by my father. Okay. Single, my dad was a single dad throughout some of my child rearing. Okay. But I also had 2-parent household with my dad because he remarried and I have step siblings, the whole 9 yards. But as far as like my dad, and my stepmom, but for me,
it's your dad.
Right. So I was raised by a man. So naturally, I'm just an alpha female in a lot of ways. And then I had 3 boys, which didn't really, force me to have to like, yeah. So now I'm feeling very like a little apprehensive and nervous because here's this little girl and she's a girly girl.
Like, give me all the
things. And so I'm like, I don't even know if I can do this. I was really feeling like, I don't know if I can do this. So I was not really showing it to, everyone on the outside. This is probably something they're going to find out when they watch this. But I was extremely nervous because I didn't know if I could be a good girl mom. I just felt like, I'm rough and tough with my boys, like it's,
Were you the tomboy growing up?
I wasn't a tomboy, but when it comes to like how I raise them,
okay,
I'm very like no nonsense with them. They all know it. The love is definitely there.
Absolutely.
They know, but at the same time, my 14-year-old be quick to say, my mama don't play. Like my mama don't play. Yeah. She coming up to the school. If I mess up, I need like the one person I don't want to have to like explain something to because I did something wrong is mom.
Right.
But at the same time, they definitely know their love and they feel love. They just know what I expect from them. So I just didn't know if I would be able to soften up enough, like to make it okay for her, especially her situation. Yeah. So I wasn't really feeling very confident. I would say that, which is crazy to say now that we're this far into it. Mm-hmm.
You're a year in now, or
no? I mean, she came in April, so we're just in.
This April.
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking that.
No, we started the process last July. She came in April this year,
and this is August.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm still very new in it.
I was in 2022 in my head. Mm-hmm. We are in 20. I mean, I'm with you now.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm still navigating this.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
the boys.
So the boys were great. I mean, they are probably, my husband and I talk about this all the time, where they are probably our biggest help and they don't know it, especially the two little ones. Mm-hmm. Because they showing her the ropes. Like, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. Oh, let me help you with that. Oh, this is, they help her understand our expectation.
Right.
And so.
Have they already turned into the protective big brothers?
Oh, absolutely. Aww. They have. The school has let us know, like they look out for her, so that's good. A good thing.
That's a really good thing.
Everything did come together really well, even for me on the outside, but I don't think anybody close to me, maybe one or two people, really knew the internal struggle that I have with it, because, I just didn't know if I could be a good girl mom. Like, how soft am I going to have to be? Can I even be that soft? Because naturally,
I don't think you have to be that soft. I think you just have to be a good mom.
Well, I know I'm a good mom, so that helps. I know I'm a good mom. Yeah. I'm just like, what is this little girl going to need? Am I going to be able to provide it, like the emotional aspect for her? Because with my boys, I'm like, boy, with the little girl, it's like, oh, and I'm just not used to being that way.
But sometimes these little girls be daddy's girls because daddy is.
Which is what happened. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I say all of that to say that I knew that this was a God thing, because I was like, you know what? It just came to me one day in my quiet time. This little girl is going to force me to deal with the little girl inside of me. And that was a scary part for me. Not a bad thing.
No,
it was not a bad thing.
I get it. It's just
but all these years, I've not had to deal with the little girl inside of me. And now I'm going to have to. And I just didn't know what that was going to look like, feel like. I just didn't know.
So then I'm back to my original question. How are you?
So
Today,
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Every day it's a process. I mean, I feel like her being in our lives has forced me to expand. Mm-hmm. It has forced my way of thinking, changing. It's just forced a change in me.
Okay.
And so what that outcome is going to look like, only time is going to tell. But I definitely feel good about it now, because she came in hot, like mom, dad, like it was mom, dad. She knew us.
Yeah,
she people. Correct. And then the family. Yes, it's the same family.
Same family.
So,
and that brings me to my next question. How is she?
She's good from what I can tell. I mean, she is mom, it's dad, she's grandma, like
Since she came in hot.
She came in hot. She was like, I'm ready. And I remember when we were doing the transition part, and this is how I think I knew she was ready. I didn't know if I was ready, but I knew she was ready. Because we all got together for Thanksgiving last year. And they had agreed that she can't have overnight visits with you guys yet because the home study hadn't been done. But you guys can take her for the day. Well, that was a little difficult because she was in Tallahassee. We were in Armadale. So when we got together for Thanksgiving, we were like, oh, we're all going to be in the same space. So my husband and I, we like to create experiences, especially around holidays for the kids. Because I'm like, they'll remember experiences more so than gifts. We can get gifts anytime, but the experiences are what they remember. So it's not uncommon for us to go to a theme park on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day.
Usually out of town on Christmas.
Right. So it's always an experience for us. And this particular time, we knew she was going to be here for Thanksgiving. So family had all gotten together at a resort in Kissimmee for Thanksgiving. So my husband was like, we're going to take the kids to Islands of Adventure Universal, and we're going to take her with us. So our thing was, let's just throw her into our world and see how she does. Instead of us like tiptoeing around her. That way we'll at least know what adjustment we may need to make when she does come, right? So we did that. And, it was a day, but we got through it. We got through it. And I remember in the car ride on the way back to the resort to have dinner with the big family, we were in the car playing like the little kiddie songs or something. And then when the song went off, she said, hey, just like, do you guys want to be with me? And I looked at my husband. I'm like, did she say something to her? Like, why is she asking this? And I was like, be with you? What do you mean be with you? She was like, I be with you and you be with me like the family. Oh. Now, mind you, I don't know if she was 5. Okay. So I don't know if she's quite understanding this process that's going on in the background.
I'm sure she doesn't.
But this is what she said. And so we just kind of looked at each other, but we didn't talk about it in that moment. Right. When we went back, we ate, we got.
Did you answer?
Well, we said, I'm sorry, yes. I said, of course we want to be with you. I was like, that's why we're all here together, because I was just like,
I know.
Yes, I did answer her. After we got back and ate and got, all the kids in bed, all that stuff, my husband and I, we always find a place to sit and talk. When we're home, it's the patio. That's our space. So we're sitting out on the patio at the resort. And I was like, did you say something to her while we were at the park? Like, I was just kind of confused as to why she would even ask that. He was like, I ain't say nothing to her. That was her. She said it.
A little inquisitive mind.
Yes. So I was like, okay. I said, what do you think about what she said? Like, do you think she knows? He was like, oh. I was like, oh, okay. My husband don't really say too much, He's
a guy.
Yes. But my mind, I'm like, why would she ask that? And so we just kind of left that part alone. But I do remember her saying that to us in the car when we were all together.
So when you finally got her, how excited was she?
She was excited. And thank you to Auntie. She had built her up. She's a foster mom. So she's had this situation happen before. So she knows what to do to, set the tone for the transition. And she did an amazing job, like setting this tone for her transition.
So Auntie had her since she was 13, 14
months, something like that.
Oh, okay.
And now she's 5. Right.
That's amazing because being that she was able to stay
in one place.
Right.
And that's another thing that I feel was a God thing because, again, I know how this system works, right? And it's not uncommon for kids to be moved around, especially, first of all, for her to have been in foster care that long, coming in at 13 months, it's like, why was she even here this long, right?
Right.
And then for her to have been in just one place that long,
yeah,
was like, wow. But then I go back to when I first met my husband's family, and Auntie was like, y'all need to get a child, baby.
Like, don't even worry about it. I'll hold this one right here.
So I feel like God just fixed the situation to where he covered her until we were ready. Because remember when we first met, we were just meeting.
She was having a hot girl summer.
I was. You know, we were nowhere. We were just not.
Right.
Yeah.
We're on the same page.
So for you know, the situation to fold out the way that it did until we were actually ready to receive her.
Now, does she have siblings?
No. No.
Because I was wondering if I was going to have you back on for
for a reunion. No siblings. No siblings. She's the firstborn and an only child. So, yeah, but she has been a huge blessing to me and my husband. To me, because it just allows me to really tap into the little girl inside of me that I've just never tapped into. You know, my dad was a single dad for some of the time that he raised us. And so I was, you know, helping look out for my little sister. I am. Okay. So for a long, you know, from a young age, I was playing that mom role, you know. So there were times when I didn't do the things that, So now getting to do those things with her, sometimes it's a little overwhelming. Like not overwhelming in a bad way. Yeah. It's just like you get to these moments where you realize, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So you have to unpack and just, you know, mentally and internally just deal with those things.
I love that for you.
So again, we were talking about like my job and stuff. Like I was an entrepreneur. I still am very much so, but I just needed this time to focus on.
Now I understand.
Me. I needed to do that. And it was a tough decision because I wanted to just keep, you know, going. But I needed this time to focus on my family and on myself and not so much my business. You know, I still am. But I had a hairstylist, had a great, you know, clientele. And I was always there for them. And if any of my clients are watching this and don't understand like why I like abruptly closed the shop and stuff, like I just needed to be there for me and this little girl. That's what was important. So it was hard to kind of put that to the side, but it was necessary.
Do you plan on going back?
I'm always going to be an entrepreneur. Okay. I'm always going to be an entrepreneur. So yes, I don't know if I'll go back behind the chair.
Okay.
But I do have some things that I now have time to work on that I've always wanted to do. Okay. And so that's just what I'm focusing on right now. But I'm just really enjoying this time, especially.
As you should.
With my daughter.
As you should.
And seeing where this
is where it goes. Because we're brand new in this. So we are definitely going to have you back.
Yes.
Like, a little down the road and see how things are going.
And we just finalized her adoption on Monday. So we are done. We are done.
So and wrapping up, if you had one thing to tell adoptive parents, what would you tell them?
One of the things that always sticks out to me in deciding to become an adoptive parent, my decision came early in life, but I know that I come across people who struggle with maybe infertility or something of that nature where they're trying to decide if adoption is for them or not for them. I will pose the same question that I pose to myself. Like, what's more important? Is it important for you to be pregnant or to be a parent.
You've heard that before.
I mean, that in and of itself, and then to those adoptive parents, honesty is the best policy. Be open, be honest, be transparent with your kids, and try to help them. Help yourself by helping them, by getting as much information as you possibly can about their birth family. Because that thing inside of them that's going to want to know where they come from, it does not go away. They are going to search and search until they get, especially if they know. And if they don't know, something's going to happen in life. They will find out. And the last thing you want to do is not have been honest with them. So I would say honesty is the best policy, and tell them early. Make adoption a normal word in your household. We have things in our house that say wanted, chosen, loved, adopted. You know, we have books, a chicken soup for the adopted soul. You know, my kids have books in their libraries about adoption. It's just a normal word in your house. It is. I love that. And I think that's just the best way. Look, she wrapped it up. Listen, again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for having me. And please like, share, follow, subscribe, any place that you're listening to this podcast. And until next week, bye, family.